Well, hello tonight, everybody. Welcome to tonight's continuing call or education. So tonight I want to talk to you about Clary Sage. So what I'm trying to do is help you understand your essential oils more and teach you a little bit more about the oils that you may or may not have. Maybe you've thought about them, maybe you haven't, maybe you want to know what else you could do with these essential oils. We have so much out there that you can do a search and find out so much information. And that's the best thing. But sometimes you have to be a little bit leery on what you see and read, and be careful that making sure that you're doing essential oils in the right manner. So my name is Diana Hinkle, and thanks for joining me. I do this on the first and third Tuesday of each month at 7 p.m. Pacific time. And right now we're on daylight time. Today is April the 19th. And it's my husband's birthday, so happy birthday to him. And so I want to share a little more results with what you can do with Clary Sage. And welcome. Hi, Clary. So Clary Sage is one of those that we don't really think a lot about, and it's in a lot of our blends. And I don't use this all the time. I'm usually more into the blends versus just a single oil for various reasons. And so what I'm trying to help you understand is how much more you can do with these essential oils versus what you think you can do with them. So Clary Sage, since I'm going through the ABCs, and for some reason here, there we go. Okay. My phone was telling me something, and I'm like making sure that you can hear me. So check. All right. Okay, Terry, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Thank you. All righty. Now that I know for sure that you can hear me. All right. I don't know what my phone's trying to say outside of the fact that I can't hear. I can hear just fine. All right. So Clary Sage is that flower that it's kind of like, it's a little enchanting of a flower, but it's a smell that you're either going to like or you're going to dislike. It's kind of like geranium. It's the same thing. You either like this fragrance or you don't. So Clary Sage isn't as potent as like geranium. It has more of a subtle type of like perfumey. It's not a real high note of a perfume. It's not a real sweet, but it's not a very earthy. It's kind of in between. And a lot of women love Clary Sage. Now, the one thing that I will say about Clary Sage, if you are pregnant, then Clary Sage is probably not an essential oil that you want to utilize during pregnancy. One is because it can induce labor. And it is great if you are at that stage and baby's late or you're wanting to help your labor come along, then this is something that you want to look into and utilize. You can smell it. You can put it on the inside of your ankle. And it's very helpful for helping induce labor. So because of that, it actually has it's a natural uterotonic, so which it means that it causes contractions. So if you are looking to have that baby, and Clary Sage is one of those that can help out with labor, but also be very calming during labor. So not only is it going to help in inducing that labor, it's going to help with that calming state as well. So the reason why Clary Sage is so calming is because it's 75% esters. What are esters? Well, that's the chemical constituents. That's one of them. That's the main one. There are many different constituents in essential oils, but the number one in Clary Sage is esters, and that's up to 75%, which is very high in an ester. What does that mean? Well, esters are very calming. They're also antifungal. They are a tonic. They also are, and make sure that I get this right, they're very balancing and helping the calm. They're free of toxicity. When they're they're very calming, relaxing. They're antifungal, antispasmodic, and they're very good for the nervous system. So that's why calming during those stressful situations. And if you're having a baby, that's probably one of the most stressful situations you can ever be in, but it's a happy end usually. So think about Clary Sage for your moms out there at the very last trimester and they're about ready to go to the hospital. It's going to help two things, right? It's going to help in the calming, and it's also going to help in inducing that labor, so helping a better delivery. And there's a lot of doulas out there that will help. They actually will diffuse and have that in the room if they're into those particular smells. So doulas are usually all about natural stuff, right? Whether that's for water bath or water birth or just a in-home experience, right, instead of the hospital. So Clary Sage also with that calming abilities is very good for us that are still doing our menstrual cycles, because PMS is for women is extremely can be extremely powerful and very debilitating to some women. So Clary Sage is one of those that you can look at for that purpose. It's also good, not just for those PMS symptoms. So where would you put it? Put it around your belly button. Okay, that's usually the number one spot when you're having those cramping issues, or even if you're dealing with hot flashes, you can put it across the forehead, in the temples, the back of the neck. Those are places you can do it. You can also put it in other reflex points, like on the inside of the ankles, specifically the right ankle. Men are on the left, women are on the right. So endometriosis or things that are breast related, you can actually apply topically to the breasts in the areas that of the concern. And what it's going to do is help regulate your estrogen so that you're not so high in estrogen. Because if you've got like someone that has breast cancer, usually they're trying to keep your estrogen levels down. And so this is something that can help in regulating that estrogen level. If you're looking to enlarge your breasts, now this is a different method. So if you're looking to enlarge your breasts, then Clary Sage is one of those that can help in that way too. You want to use a carrier oil with this. Always make sure that you are not sensitive to an essential oil. Always do a little spot somewhere where you can keep track of it. Typically, Clary Sage you can use without anything. It can be used neat, meaning straight from the bottle. And so usually this is the Clary Sage, this is the doTERRA Clary Sage. And again, it has that subtle smell. But just know that Clary Sage from doTERRA is typically, it is, you can take it internally. How do you know you can take it internally? Well, on doTERRA, there is a supplement fact right there. See that? So that supplement fact tells you that you can take this internally. So what it says It's supplement bag serving size, 1 drop. Servings per container, about 250. So this is a 15 ml bottle. And it tells you that clary sage or leaf flower is 60 milligrams, daily value, not estimated, but dilute 1 drop in 4 fluid ounce of liquid. There are people that actually cook with this. You can put it in a capsule and take it internally. You can put it on your reflex points. You can put it in water. You can put it in anywhere that you would like to utilize that. So clary sage really does help with many different things. So enlarging the breast, think about clary sage next time. And we are, let's see, let me do something here real quick. Okay. So what else can we do with clary sage? A lot of them. So another other thing that we can think about with clary sage is like Parkinson's or seizures, convulsions in those directions. You can, again, apply it to the back of the neck, okay, which is down at the brain stem. You can also put it, again, across here, across your forehead. All right, so what this is going to do is calm those nerves. So if it's, you can also put it on your pulse point, your wrists, or you can put it on the part of the arm, wherever it is that you feel like it's the best place for you to put it. Just put it on you or smell it. A lot of people just like to take the lid off and smell it because diffusing is a very good way to get it into your body. Now, you have to decide how quickly do you want it in your bloodstream. Smell is the fastest way for anybody to change a mood or to get something into you internally, right? It does not have to go through the digestive system that way. When anything goes to through the digestive system, you have to wait a little bit, right? Unless you're like putting a drop or two specifically in water, then you're going to digest it. It's a little bit faster. The best way, or the fastest way, is to sublingually under the tongue, right behind the lower teeth, or just smell. It's the fastest way. So we can use it for calming the nervous system, right? This is something that with the esters, since it's 75% of esters, those are those calming, so it's very calming to the nervous system. The other thing that you can do, so it's like if you're having a seizure or you know someone that's having a seizure, it will help in reducing the time frame of that seizure. Just put a drop on the top of the head. You can do that as well, because that's going to go directly to the brain, because usually that's where those nerves that just aren't firing off correctly are usually causing a seizure. So we want to look at that, right? Where do we put it? Put it there. Put it on the top of the head. Put a couple of drops. Now, this is nothing about treating or curing anything. All this is information on how to help not eliminate, but at least be helpful going forward, so that when these issues come up, you know something that you can grab. It's not always about the essential oil that you're using. It's all about using an essential oil. Just not anytime, because essential oils are a natural thing and the body knows what to do with them. Now, another thing, we were talking about breasts earlier, enlargement. We were talking about endometriosis. We're talking about that C word, because esters will help in that way too. You can also use it not only in the childbirth, but for low milk supply. So if your milk supply, you can actually put it down the spine. You're going to have help for someone to do that for you, to put it on the spine. And you can apply it over each breast to increase your milk supply. Now, we had recently talked about fennel. Fennel is another one that can do that as well. So here's Clary Sage that can also help in milk production. So what is your flavor, as I would call it? Do you like black licorice? Go with fennel. If you don't like black licorice, then maybe Clary Sage is the one you want to look at. And again, make sure that you're not sensitive to this particular oil. But again, if you're going to cover a large area, make sure that you're using it with a carrier oil like fractionated coconut oil, because we like fractionated coconut oil because there is no fragrance to it, and it's very clear. It has small molecules that are able to absorb into the skin very quickly. That's why when you choose a carrier oil like jojoba oil or sunflower seed oil, whatever oil you're looking for, it's the molecules, whether or not they're small or big. If they're big, the bigger they are, the less absorbent it is on your skin. So what happens is, like olive oil, it's very greasy. Jojoba oil is very greasy. It's because it's a bigger cell, and so it doesn't absorb. Fractionated coconut oil absorbs very quickly. It's a clear liquid, and it's a great one to use as a carrier. So just depending on what it is that you're looking for. Okay, so we talked about birthing, and we talked about milk supply reduction. So what else can we talk about? Since it's a calming oil, we can also look at it as for helping us for postpartum depression. So that's probably one of the biggest things that happens in childbirth is postpartum depression. So who do you know that's had a child that all of a sudden they just feel like they're not worth anything? And it's a real thing. So here's Clary Sage that can come to the rescue for them. Because again, it's very calming. You can just simply smell it, or you can put it in a diffuser, or you can apply it to the bottom of your feet, or there's a lot of ways you can use this, right? You can put it in, again, the back of the neck, right? And for that relief, okay? We already talked about the hot flashes, so now we're going to go on the other spectrum, right? Go from that high end of hot flashes to that postpartum depression after birth. So that's where it's also good for that insomnia. If you know someone that can't sleep, maybe Clary Sage is one of those that will help them go to sleep. When it comes to sleeping, it's not only about the aids that we're using to go to sleep. What smell triggers our brain to relax and fall asleep? That's what we're looking at. It's what are we going to do to create those components that are going to help the brain shut down and for us to fall asleep. And there again, diffuse is the best way, especially if you're going to sleep. You can put a little bit on your pillow. You could, I've even told people, if you don't have a diffuser, get a cotton ball, put it on a cotton ball, and put it on your air vent or your heater vent, wherever, because most of them are going to be on the floor. Now, if you got one on the wall, that's a little more challenging, but it can be done because I've done this. And I totally went somewhere, forgot my diffuser, and it's like, what am I going to use for a diffuser? So I had I call it my redneck diffuser, but I got a coffee filter and put it on and put a drop on the coffee filter and then put it so it draped over the wall unit so that I could smell it. I was like, now that's a redneck diffuser if I ever had, but it worked, right? Because there were things in this place that is like, this didn't smell good. So I was like, I need something. And so that's what I did. Okay. Now we've talked about pink eye in the past. And we've talked about how even Digestin, which is meant for digestive issues, works good for pink eye. Clary Sage is another one of those that can actually help with pink eye. You never put it in the eye. I'm going to stress that. Don't ever put it in the eye. Put it around the eye underneath. That's all you have to do. But never in the eye. And that takes 1 or 2 drops, or you can do 1 or 2 drops in a capsule and take it internally. It will still do the same. It'll give you the same result. I know a lot of people think that, oh, you got to put on whatever's going on. No, you don't. So it's a systemic cellular function when it comes to essential oils. So whenever you put anything in you, it's like they say, what you are what you eat. Okay, well, essential oils work in the same fashion. Okay, they're working at a cellular level, right? And so if you have pink eye or anything going on with the eyes, you'd want to do a capsule, 1 to 2 drops, 1 to 2 times per day. And you could also apply it on the reflex points, which is on the toes, the 2nd and 3rd toes. And it's also your eyes are these 2 fingers right there. I once had someone call me and ask me what helichrysum does and if it can affect the eyes. And it's like, no, I don't know. Do you have issues with the eyes? And they said, yes. I said, how did you apply it with these 2 fingers? Well, that's it. They applied it right here with their fingers right here and here. Anyway, that's all they did. They just applied an oil on their fingers for the most part. Okay. What about things like kidney disease, stress? It's very calming. Kidney disease, same thing. You can 1 to 2 drops over the kidneys or 1 to 2 drops in a capsule, either way. And do that a couple times a day as well. If you've got some issues going on with your kidneys, what I would suggest is if you really have something going on with kidneys, Clary Sage is a really good one, but you want to really think about a detoxification to all of your major organs. And doTERRA has some really good ones for that, which is Zendocrine essential oil and the Zendocrine complex, which is a whole foods based to help cleanse all the organs, including the lungs, so that they run optimal. So if you think of all of your organs, including the kidneys, if you're thinking of all of those as your car, when we change the oil in our car, why do we do that? The only reason we do that is so that our car will run at an optimal performance, right? We get the best gas mileage, we get everything runs smoothly. If you don't change the oil, your car is still going to run, right? But it gets really thick and gooey and icky and it's dark and then your vehicle doesn't run as well. The gas mileage goes down. A lot of things start happening with the car. Things start to kind of like break down a little bit. So when we have to look at our body in the same way, that if we're not getting rid of all the toxins that we come into our bodies on a daily basis, you may not think you are, but you are. Everything that we eat in the grocery stores has something. They have some kind of chemical on them. I don't care if it's organically grown or not. Even things that are frozen are going to be sprayed with something to keep it fresher longer. Okay. So we really have to think about what goes into our food, on our foods, so that we can get rid of the junk that you're not realizing is going into your body and the toxicity that's happening in our body. And at some point down the road, we'll talk about candida, because if you don't know what candida is, I challenge you to look that up, because candida plays so much havoc and a huge role in how our bodies perform on a daily basis. And what havoc that has on our bodies. So look up Candida, because when I first started in this business, yes, I came from a dental background. I had no idea what Candida was until I'm like, I heard it and heard it and heard it. It's like, all right, so I had to do my research. And then after that is the rest is history, because I'm like, oh, people need to know about things. So I like to be part of the teaching. I don't want to teach you everything, because nowadays you can take your thumbs and do this thing on a phone or on a computer. You've got so much information in front of you anymore that it just takes seconds to find something. Find what relates to you. What are you looking for? And is it what you find is, does it make sense? And you have to use a little common sense. I know sometimes that's tough, but that's where you have people like me, or you have others that are in that can help you along the way. If you're not quite sure, reach out to someone that may know or does know, and find the solution that works best for you. So Clary Calm, excuse me, not Clary Calm. I talked about that last 2 weeks ago. So Clary Sage, get to the right one. So Clary Sage it has so many advantages to us, and think about those esters and how they work for us. Now, not only are we looking at that, 75% calming, no wonder we like it for during giving birth, because it is that calming and for stress. What else can you do with it? Can you take a bath in it? Absolutely. If you need it, do that. So what you can do for a bath, take about a couple tablespoons of Epsom salts, or a quarter cup, whatever it is you like, because Epsom salt is very good for the body. And so take your Epsom salt, put in your hand, take your essential oil, put a couple of drops in the hand with the Epsom salt, and then put it in your water. And soak in the bathtub. So what that does is essential oils and water don't mix. So you're binding the oil to the Epsom salt, which will bind in the water, and it won't all be floating at the surface. So there's a little tidbit. So if you really love the aroma of Clary Sage and you really are looking for that de-stress, go take a bath. Or another way of doing this is, if you are the shower person, that's easy. So same thing, do a cotton ball, do whatever it is, or even another wash rag, put it on the back side of the shower so that it's still getting the water, but you're going to get the fragrance of your essential oil. So you don't have to do anything fancy. If you want to do like a bath bomb and make it a shower bomb, you can do that. That's easy. Those are so easy. We'll have to show you how to do that too. And there's plenty of things on Pinterest. Pinterest has got, oh my gosh, don't get me started on Pinterest, because I want to do this and this and this and this and this, and I don't have time for all that. But there are plenty of things that you can find on Pinterest to do. And making bath bombs is probably the easiest thing that you'll ever do. And you don't need to have a fancy design of any kind. I use a tablespoon, a plastic tablespoon, like measuring spoon. That's what I use. I pack it in there and put it on wax paper. Done. Right? Mix it all together, mix all your ingredients together, pack it in that measuring spoon, put it on the wax paper to let it dry, and it's a done deal. You can put two halves together and make it look like a ball. How easy was that? Pretty easy. I like those. So menopause, endometriosis, Parkinson's, seizures, it's calming. It's good for PMS, for hot flashes, postpartum depression, pink eye, cataracts, anything to do with the eye. So many things, the kidneys. Oh, one thing I did forget. It's also good for helping lower your blood pressure. Okay, so if you have too high of a blood pressure, you can use Clary Sage to help reduce that. Where do you put it? Behind the ear. You come in here behind the ear and put it there. You can also put it behind your neck if you want to. And again, you can put it on the bottom of your feet. Why do we put things on the bottom of our feet? Well, if you've ever looked at a reflex chart, everything's there. All the organs, the spine, everything is on the bottom of the feet. And those feet have the largest pores. So typically we're not, if we have some sensitivity, our feet aren't sensitive because they're usually callous because we walk around barefoot and things like that, you know. So we'll get to where it needs to go by just putting it on the bottom of your feet. I know a lot of people are like, why do you put it on your feet? Look at a reflex chart for the foot. I know there's more for the ears, but for lowering the blood pressure, just put it back here. Or put it on the bottom of your feet and look for the specific for the blood pressure. So which is the brain, which is the nervous system. So basically put it behind at the stem, the base of the skull, or the back of the ear, which works wonderfully, beautifully. All right. What else could I tell you about Clary Sage? Oh yes, one more thing. So we talked about inducing labor with Clary Sage. It's also a good source to use to help in preventing excess bleeding after having a baby. So it helps in that getting the placenta out. So after birth, so that we are not hemorrhaging and we can eliminate that placenta easier. So that's another thing. So when it comes to a mom that's about ready to give birth, this is the beautiful oil to give them as a gift because they can use it before, during, and after birth. And it works really well for that. So that postpartum depression or inducing that labor during birth, it's very calming, and then helping stop that hemorrhaging afterwards. So a lot of things for Clary Sage. It's, again, a beautiful oil. And I'm going to give you a recipe, and I have a recipe here somewhere amongst notes. And they are, aha, I got it. Okay. So here's a diffuser recipe if you like. So if you have a diffuser, you can put 3 drops of Clary Sage, 2 drops of wild orange, and 2 drops of cinnamon, and 1 drop of lemon. This is to help release stress and get that inner calmness coming into you. So if all of those, wild orange is, I've had people tell me that they fall asleep with wild orange and it was like, wait, what? That's a citrus. Again, it's what will help the mind smell. You smell something and you go, oh my gosh, it smells so good. And it helps you relax. That's what we're looking for. You can also use Clary Sage on your face. So you can use 5 drops of Clary Sage, 2 drops of geranium, and 1 ounce of fractionated coconut oil. So what you do is you add those oils into the fractionated coconut oil, and you can actually put it on your face with a cloth. You want to just gently pat it on your face. You don't want to rub it on your face. You just want to take some and pat it a little bit all over your face. And it's kind of a shimmering thing. So there gives you some, yeah, those are some recipes for you. I don't think I can think of anything else at the moment. I know Clary Sage is not an oil that most people would want to get, but to have that in your arsenal, because you'll never know who might need it. And especially if you know someone, again, if you know someone in labor, what a great gift to even give them a sample of that. It's like, here, have this, take this with you to the hospital, right? Put this in your bag so you know you have it, and make sure your partner knows you have it as well, right? What a beautiful gift of making sure that we have labor, and we go through everything like we're supposed to. So again, thanks for joining me. If you love this, please make a comment. You can go see this. It will be reposted on my Facebook groups, but I also have a YouTube channel. So I hope that you will look at those. And if someone shared this with you, get with them and find out how you can get your hands on some Clary Sage if you feel like this is something that you need. Otherwise, you can go to naturalsforanimals.com. And that is naturals with an S and the number 4 animals with an S.com. And you can also look for a tab there to shop doTERRA. That's so choose. And there, and yes, I do a lot of things with animals as well. And so this is one of those that they get used when it comes to my horses, and that time if I do have one that's getting close to that time, you can bet your booty that I use Clary Sage all down the spine. So you guys have a lovely evening. Thanks for joining me. We will rejoin again on May 10th, and we will talk about clove, all things dental. Love clove. So thanks for joining me, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you, everyone.